Oh, all right. Hello. Hello, everybody who's here. Right, sorry for the slight delay in starting, but we're here now. Okay, so Milton Valley Railroad on a Thursday. Yes, that's the way it was in the beginning. Well, not in the very beginning, but as soon as I got to stream, well, 2 of these. So, yeah. Just getting the final little bit started. Hold on. There we are. Waiting for Spotlight to find the app. There we go. Okay. It's all good. Dun, 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 dun. And let's switch over. And let's begin. Oh, that's wrong. Hold on. No, don't. No. One moment. Let's not begin yet because it's the wrong aspect ratio. I forgot to switch over the window. There we are. Now let's begin. Hello, Kangafango. Hi diddly-o there. How might you be this fine evening? Me? Well, I'm good. I started a new mini project, which is going to be fun. Ask Twitter about that. Right, this is the right route. And also, hey there, Willis1961. Hello. Yahoo, hi ho, sure. Hello, how are you? Okilly. Of course. Hello. There we are. Timey-wimey! Yes. Oh, hold on. There was a thing. Something you might enjoy. Hold on. One moment while it's loading. Have a look at that. I think that you will find that very interesting. Bingo bango? Bingo bango? Right, yes. The work I did last time. Hello, work I did last time. Glad to see you're still here. Right, so. Bingo bango, kango fango. Yes. So, I think, okay, this thing, I need to put a few more buildings there for this to look right. I want another road to come out somewhere. It would, well, if we have this gap there, not sure if that, yeah, we'll probably have that gap there, and then we'll probably have the road actually come out here. So I'll move all of this a bit over to the right. Not much, just a bit, just enough. Hold on, that one. That looks interesting. Yes, I've listened to a lot of her stuff and there are so many gems. One of them is the Quotes song, for example. Yeah, that looks good. Having the road go back here and then... Actually, we could have it go... Well, it wouldn't really go past the loading bay like that. It might... yeah, where would the road go? The road might come out here and then go diagonally and then merge and vanish up there. Okay, let's try that. This one? Yes. Well, first the paint. Which, the route or the YouTube channel that was linked? I think you probably meant the channel. By the way, if you're watching this archived and you're wondering what that channel name was, you don't want to type it out, it's President Romana. And if you're interested in what she does, then, well, just have a look on her YouTube page and then you'll find out what she does. A little more space between the first two rows of buildings. This, yeah, you're right. This is more supposed to be a bit of a back alley space. It's not really, you're not really supposed to see it that well. There we are. This one probably as well. A little bit. Okay. There should be enough YouTube channel. There should be enough room for a truck to back up to the building. Or a van. Alright, this one. Oh, because of that loading bay there. Oh, right, that makes sense. There needs to be a bit more space there. Yes. You're right. These ones don't have any truck loading spots. Which you'll prefer, friendly-spirited arguments or mean-spirited conversations? Friendly-spirited arguments, of course. Random question. They would still almost likely be in a line. Yeah, but you're not really going to see that because the camera is going to be down here. And from this point, you can see that it's in a line roughly on this side. And you can just see a few buildings down here, which this maybe even, this more connected on the other side. So maybe like that. So then they're in a line going down this way-ish. So on this side. In which case I'll probably need another road here actually. So I'm actually just going to put the line down like that. And do this over here. Yep, still like that, like this. Okay. Every time I still press A just to switch to the add to the place tool. Okay, so I'm guessing this wouldn't be like that. It might look a bit better if it went straight. So to there. And then this connects straight in as well, probably. That's probably a better idea. Let's see. Leave enough room between the edge of the road, yellow line, and the building for a truck to unload without blocking the road. Oh, do you mean for these two spots? Where do you mean? Because there are no truck loading bays over here. The only ones are there. That looked strange, the road that gets thinner. Yeah. Yeah. Leave enough room. Yeah. Messages above? Yes. Oh, do you mean this building? Do you mean this building here? Yes, I would say that's a bit too close to the yellow line. In which case maybe this one should be turned the other way like that. Bit too much space. Let's move it a bit closer. Oh, no, if a truck comes in that way, then yeah. That's okay. I think that is okay. All buildings, they are factories, so would have deliveries somewhere. Maybe not always be a loading bay, may just be carried in a door. Yes. True. So then here, for example, a truck could just go over here and then stop over here where it's going to be unloaded. With this one, there are doors, so it's probably the truck or whatever it is going into the building. Or it could go back here. This one again has lots of space on this side. Here, this one does have a... Well, this might just be a garage door or something. Is this part of the one building there? Yeah. Okay. And you're not going to see that anyway. Over here you've got enough space. Don't worry, I'll put a few other textures around to make this look a bit better. Just something to think about. Yes, that's true. Delete that. I want to get the where is it? The thick line. This one might just be easier if I had searched for it in the box, since it's all in the same area. Like that-ish. Like that. Yeah, you can see that from here. Okay. That looks a bit wonky. What is that wonky? No, it's not wonky. That's odd. That looked wonky. But it's not. Okay, so this I will cut as well. Then I need to cut these splines over here. Over here. There we are. Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory? That? What do you mean? What do you mean? I don't know what you mean. Something to think about? Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. Oh, I see. Okay, this one a little bit further if that's possible. Good, good. Like that. Okay. Yeah, I do need the sidewalk here, just so that you can see that there is a road going off the side here. Because otherwise it just looks... You won't be able to see the markings from that angle. It's like this. If you're over here, and you can see that. Maybe I'll add a fence. Well, let's see. Not sure if there'd be enough space there. If a truck came in like that. Not sure. I'll move it back a little bit. That should be enough space. Okay. I'll add the fence along here. Yeah, that did it. Now for over here, we can see that there is the road going the other way there. Okay, maybe I'll add a truck just to show that there's some activity there. I will probably add trucks and such to many of these later on. Maybe just a trailer. There we are. Yeah, I think that an experienced truck driver could back that in there. It's a bit tight, but I think it works. Stream title: Detail is the friend of any railway, but not to the point of lag. Yes, you're right, that would be a good stream title. Haha. Okay. Like that, maybe? Because I want an alleyway going back here. I don't want the actual stripes of the center stripes there, but just the yellow to have a little bit of a break and to go in there, basically. Oh, is that? I'm going to need another... Okay. Tell you what, I'm going to redo that bit because I want another spline point in there. I think you may have a few too many big buildings in the rail yard. Remember, it's a rail yard, not a factory site. Yeah, I know, there are quite a few, but there are some factories here. For example, this is a factory. Maybe it's a foundry. Maybe they're building spare parts or repairing equipment or doing stuff like that here. I've got a couple of workshops and another warehouse and stuff there. Maybe companies have rented out the space or something. I don't know. It looks good. It looks a bit fuller having these things here. But you're right. Okay. Just like that or all the way through? Maybe all the way through, actually. What would that look like? Yeah, that's okay. That's good. It's a bit wider than I had thought originally, but I think it's okay. Hello, Nanook78, sorry. How are you? Just building the yard. Right. It doesn't look like it, but here's the yard. See, I told you there was one. Right. Hey, nice orange, yes. Right, oh, yeah, I like how it looks myself, but I've never been on American railyards before. IRL anyway. Right. Okay. So, this of course needs more detailing. Actually, I think I might cut the sidewalk there to have this a bit more open. Or maybe have it open to the point of over here. That might be better. You also have a bit of a contradiction at the admin building. Yeah, I know. I know, it looks pretty fancy from this side, but then right behind it you've got these old buildings and whatever this is used for and stuff. I know. It might look a bit better once I put more stuff in front here. But I like the way it looks from this side. And if you're working in the yard here, to see this sort of building a bit more, or this siding. You put bollards in front of the building to keep vehicles away, and then put dumpsters behind the bollards where the truck cannot get to them. No, there's some space. I did leave a little bit of a gap here, so that vehicles can come through. It's just not that obvious, but yeah, they can actually get through there. Maybe we should add another little gap. There we are. I'm an admin building, not a pickup truck. I'm an admin building, not a pickup truck. Truck garbage 01? Maybe. Oops, no, not that. I don't want to add a layer. This one. But I don't think I want to have it parked here. Well, maybe, but... I don't like it being parked there. Although maybe, what do you think? Do you think I should have it here? Like maybe there's just collections just happening or something like that. Do you think that looks good, or do you think I should remove it? Garbager. Yeah? Not sure what you mean. Or maybe session specific. Well, I can remove it with a bound layer in the sessions I don't want to have it there. I'm gonna leave it for a while. Okay. This bit needs to be opened up. Shades, Garbager was the typo you entered in the search field a minute ago. Oh, right. I see. These are windows, right? Yes, good. Delete those. And then I'll... Oh, not that much. Then I'll get the chain link fence out again. I know you love your dumpsters, but they weren't quite as prevalent as you may believe in the 1950s, 60s. Most only used in big dense cities, New York, Chicago, etc. And they were a lot smaller than only 2 or 3 cubic yards. Yeah, you're right. But the thing is that it just, even though it may be not that period specific, realistic, it does add more to the scene. It gets the right feeling for the area. It looks like there's garbage around. It looks like it's being used, even if it's not that realistic. Dumpster, after the 50s, 60s. Behold my prevalence, punk! Most factories had incinerator rooms, buildings, and burned their own trash on site. Would that also have been used to generate a bit of electricity then, I'm guessing? Right. What about this area? Where should I have it here? Probably over here. Oops. I thought I'd straighten that. Oh, this bit needs straightening. Or make steam in a boiler room for heat. That makes sense. Or depending on how far back you go, to drive the machinery. You're probably not going to look that in that great detail at this area back here anyway. Probably. Again, I'm not sure. Some people might. There's a gap there. Okay. Galvanized metal garbage cans or repurposed 55-gallon drums were the most prevalent used. Oh yeah, I do have some of those, but the thing is that they would be so small that if you're driving over here, you wouldn't really notice them if they were in the alleyway back there. But the dumpsters you can notice because they're quite a bit larger. Let's have a look. Yeah, you mean these sort of ones? Yeah, for example, if I place some of them over here like that, can you? Well, I guess you can see them here, but it's got quite a good contrast. All right, those things, yeah. Like I don't know. Could just hide one back there. That would be very impractical. But it's a nice little Easter egg if you see it back there. Because the fence is completely closed. Oh, hold on. That's a nice little area there. One moment. Actually, back here, I'll just add a couple of rats back here because they're all facing that way. That's interesting. Why are they all facing that way? Probably the non-animated ones would be better suited here. Oops, not like that. You can just about see the rats back there. Knocks on the bin. Hey TC, you in there? Shoulders, hey, call the hidden trash bin truth. No, that's reserved for the Yeti. A lot of restaurants, grocery stores had a lot of the galvanized cans in back for edible waste. Local farmers would take that waste to compost for fertilizer or use to feed pigs. Ah, I had no idea. Rats. That's an interesting tidbit of information there. Or call it... Oopsie? Why? I also had no idea. How about... How about... They found us. How about they found us? So if you look at a map here, and see all these labels, and you see... Wait, what's that? They found us? So you're gonna zoom in there. And you're gonna look around. See the bin. Even if you get up the small map, and zoom a bit further, you can see they found us. What's this? Yes, the small map, yes. And then you can look back here and oh, there are rats back here. Oh, I see. That's not right. That should be straightened a bit better. What's going on with that? Is that maybe the... Oh, that wasn't supposed to be straightened. Is that the issue? What's wrong with that bit? Or does this need to be straightened? No, that is straightened. What's wrong here? Oh, it doesn't matter. I'll just add another spline point. That should fix it. Just a bin of garbage trivia. You're right, it was a bit of garbage trivia. Maybe just some crates laying around the place as well. Do you want this? Do you know what this reminds me of? Oh? Place a man named Willard by the trash can. Why? What is that a reference to? Oh, is that a reference to something? Sure it is. Madagascar, of course. Yes. The Madagascar. Only the crates were larger. Well, a bit, yeah. Willard 1971 film. Let's have a look. American horror film director. Based on the novel Ratman's Notebooks by Stephen Gilbert. Huh. Interesting. Sure, I'll do it. You've convinced me. Do you think he should be? Do you think he should be drinking? And apparently talking to himself. In that case, I'll actually get the. In that case, I'll actually get rid of the bin name. There we are. Oh, they are bigger on the inside. Yes. That sounds familiar. I wonder where. Oh, that episode of Star Trek where they found a time ship, a time column, a time ship that was bigger on the inside there was in Star Trek Enterprise, Daniel's temporal ship thing. That's probably where that's from. Yeah, that's totally an original idea. I see. Never mind. I never heard of it. Sure it is, because them placing the bin in that location might, by some, be considered an oopsie. XD. I haven't seen the film, so maybe it makes sense. A shy psycho that has his rats friends eat his enemies. Sounds legitimate. Yikes. Isn't the holodeck virtually bigger on the inside? That is... The holodeck is a tricky one, because in the first episode of Star Trek, TNG, where we see the holodeck, Riker trying to... was it Riker? I think it was Riker. Anyway, someone was explaining the holodeck to someone else. Or maybe it was Data who explained it to Riker, I don't know. But anyway, someone picked up a rock and then threw the rock just into nowhere, and then the rock just bounced off of thin air, because that was the edge of the holodeck. Yes, the projection carried on, but that was the edge. Of course, in later episodes, pretty much, well, yeah, in later episodes, it's like you can basically go anywhere you want, and even multiple people going different directions. But yeah, that's never really explained. But then you get episodes like in Voyager, where they've got what was it, New Haven? No, just Haven. The simulation that was supposed to continue running for a long time, to be sort of a permanent program. But then when the Hirogen came, before that, they decided that they were going to connect up more of the holodecks to form one larger holodeck. However, in other episodes, it's like there's no size limit. And there are interesting explanations as to how that might be done. One explanation I found is that when someone reaches the edge of a holodeck, then if the other holodecks are in use, there'll just be an invisible wall there. But if there is an empty holodeck, then the simulation gets started in there, and the person is transported, beamed, to that other holodeck, essentially being in their own private instance, basically. You're just walking near the edge, then if there are multiple people in the holodeck, then you get beamed out to the other holodeck, which then can shift around you, so you can keep walking forever because you're not actually walking anywhere. Or you can get beamed back, but in episodes like that one with Worf and Alexander, the Wild West one, there it's like Worf's in the town while Alexander is in the mine somewhere, and it's like that's supposed to be a long way away. So, Shredder's time column, eh? No, in his head he's currently going through the murderance plan. That's why he's talking to himself. It all makes sense. It all makes sense, of course. Yes. And that's what I meant by virtually big on the inside. Oh, right. Yes. Makes sense. Haven, yeah. Like a safe haven? It's all trick photography, smoke and mirrors. Yeah, it has to be. Here's a question. If you've seen the original series, do you remember Trainz? I thought I remembered one episode explained that instead of going in a straight line, the holodeck has you actually going in a slight curve, so you never get to the edge. Yeah, but what if there are multiple people in the holodeck, and they both go in the opposite directions? What happens then? Which we do see in episodes. Trainz. I'm not sure how it's spelled, but the trickster of whatever the planet was. The episode was called the trickster of something. Not sure. Trainz, baby Q. Yeah, that's the thing. Do you believe that he was a young Q, a baby Q, who was just let out of the continuum for the first time, and that's why at the end those green lights were just claiming to be his parents, because they wanted to make it easier for Kirk to understand. Of course he bought it. But do you think he was a baby Q? No, it wasn't Trickster, it was Squire. The episode was Squire of... Hold on. Squire of Gothos. Yes, the Squire of Gothos. There we are. Doesn't ring any bells right now. Or blow any whistles. Maybe I'd recognize it if I saw it. A Q, but not the Q. Yes, not John Delancey's Q. But you do think, okay. Which is actually very interesting, because in that episode, Trelane... Well, he's got the computer behind the mirror, which gives him a lot of his powers. But not all of them, because he still manages to appear and disappear as he's fighting Kirk. So, but if he is getting a lot of his powers from that computer, do you think that the Q's powers, like just as in general, is based on technology or on biology? Because it's easy to assume that, oh, these godlike beings, they just can naturally control our reality like this. Do you think that is natural, or do you think that there's a technological thing that allows them to do these things? Because I've actually got a few points on that. A few things that might be interesting. This is just too wide, but I can't really narrow it down a bit. Only seen all of Star Trek once, and in parts years ago. Ah, I see. Oh, I think I remember the episode now. Was the episode set on a planet? Yes. I think that could have been training wheels for a young Q learning to control his powers. True. That could have been it. Q's training wheels. Might be confusing it with a TNG episode with the actual Q. Oh. But but do you think that the Q's powers are natural, so that they've just evolved that they're natural, or do you think, well, not necessarily evolved, but do you think they're natural, or do you think they're artificial, technological? Was archery involved? I don't think so. You're probably thinking of the episode where where Q, John Delancey's Q, made Picard and Olive, the bridge coup, into Robin Hood and his gang. Actually, fun fact about that. It was originally supposed to be focused around Nottingham and what's the word? The castle. King Arthur's castle, what's it called? What's it called? I can't think of it now. Camelot, there we go. Yeah, it was originally supposed to be an Arthurian thing, about with Camelot and those guys, and that what happened there. But then I think a film version of Robin Hood came out recently, so they changed the script a little to make it Robin Hood instead. But if you think about that story where the Q brings Picard and guys, you know Worf's line where he says, "Captain, I protest. I'm not a merry man." Yeah? You know that? Well, it actually makes the story a lot more sense if you think about, oh, it's Camelot and the King Arthur legend, not Robin Hood. But yeah. That had archery in it, I think. Yeah, because Data another thing, in that episode, Data gets shot by an arrow, and it's like dangerous. It's like he's bleeding, and he could have died there. But then in later episodes, and also in First Contact, for example, we see that Data is, impervious to bullets. Maybe that he got an upgrade or something. Vote natural. Alright, maybe. I actually saw the very first episode of TOS, The Man Trap, when it aired. Yeah, that, did you see it in color, or did you see it in black and white? Because I know that the reason why TOS is so colorful with all those uniforms and everything is because color TV was just sort of starting. So, yeah, but most people, at least in the UK, didn't have color TVs, so they still watched in black and white. Oh, of course, Arthurian, so like Victorian? Huh? No. The King Arthur legend happened shortly after the Romans left. So it's like in the beginning of the Middle Ages. So like, I don't know, 400 AD or something like that. Or at least that's the most commonly accepted view of it. Yeah, you're right. That does sound like Worf. Oh, nice. Watched it with my older sister, and the Salt Vampire scared the bejeebus out of my 5-year-old self. Oh yeah, I can imagine. I actually do remember when I first saw it, which was when I was about that age-ish. And yeah, some of those creatures were quite intimidating. Never wanted to watch Star Trek again because I thought it was a horror show. Yeah, I can easily see how someone might get that opinion, that impression, sorry. We had black and white TV then. Shadows, I know what you mean. I meant like black and white. Right. Although, the thing is, with the Salt Vampire... Actually, one second. I'll quickly say the thing about the Q. Because there are actually... Okay, so there are actually two things that I can think of that would point towards the Q having their powers due to technological reasons rather than natural reasons. The first is that Q himself says that once upon a time the Q were very much like humanity, and that the rate of humanity's evolution, of humanity's progress, I think he says, I'm not sure if he says scares the rest of the Q or something to that effect, that the rest of the Q are worried or concerned about humanity's progress or something like that. So that would indicate, to me at least, that the Q, because in Star Trek, humanity isn't really evolving quickly in terms of biology, in terms of natural evolution, but rather really quite quickly in terms of technological evolution. So if Q says that once upon a time the Q were like humanity and that they're evolving so fast, and that scares, I don't remember the actual word, but scares the rest of Q, and that's why they're worried about them, or something like that, then that would indicate that they got their powers from technology. The other thing is that the Q always have actions to make their powers go. So, for example, John DeLance's Q snaps his fingers. The other Q from Voyager, the one who wanted to die, just waves his fingers like that, or something like that. They all have a sort of physical cue, a physical, pun intended, cue for their powers to trigger. If it was biological, I mean, it could just be that this is a representation, an expression of the biological effect that just gets projected like this into the physical being of when a cue appears as someone. But it could also be that this is an actual trigger for some sort of technology to do something. However, that may or may not be true, because there are flaws with that. Like, for example, what if a Q transforms into, well, nothing? We know that we don't have to exist as people. So what if a Q transforms into energy? Then we can't do that unless there are other Qs for that. So many great puns in this. Anyway, or what if he transforms into something inanimate? Anyway, right. If you meant Arthurian, as in Victorian, Elizabethan, like time periods. Oh, right. Oh, so, Yes, yeah, like the time of King Arthur. So yes, eras, if you will. Built a model of the Klingon battlecruiser when I was about 10 to 11 years old, and started watching the reruns at night because I wanted to see what the model was supposed to actually look like. At night? So you mean because there wasn't any... You mean because of glare on the TV? Oh, or do you mean because you just didn't have any time otherwise? Probably the time thing. Yeah, you mean the D7 Klingon battlecruiser. That is such a good design, though. Such a good design. Let's see. Would it look better with a little bit of fencing there? It'd probably be a bit easier to spot with that. Yeah. Okay. Ah, that is nice. By the time an episode with the battlecruiser finally aired, I was hooked. Yeah, I can definitely see that. I also remade Star Trek ships with Lego because when I had Lego, so I made I remember I made just about this big, rudimentary, just very basic a model that looked like the Enterprise, and to make the nacelles angled, I used those hinged pieces. So then I essentially had two different ship classes in one, because which was the Constitution was the Enterprise, the original one, with the angled nacelles, and then since I had it on hinges, I could just tilt them down so they were flat, and then it was just, it was like a totally different ship design, so all in one. That was fun. Oh, that's why they're called Q, because of their obligatory physical Q. That'd be clever, that. Actually, they are just very highly evolved billiard cue balls. Yeah, I mean, if you knock around that much, then you're bound to evolve at some point. Yeah. Yes. What was I going to say? Georgian, Edwardian, XTXT, evolve cue balls. The reruns aired after the evening news at 10:30 p.m. I see. Which do you all prefer? The Katinga, Bird of Prey, or D7? I would say they're all very close. I would say probably... the Katinga, which is basically just an upgraded... I would say probably Katinga because that is just an upgraded D7, basically. Then the D7 as a very close second. Although the D7's very sort of clean art style and the TOS art style with the blank surfaces is really very nice as well. So I'd say a tie between D7 and Katinga, and then third, the Bird of Prey. Oh, right, I've just remembered. Have I? Yes, two things. Two little facts. One, the episode in which the Q first appear. Well, no, not first appear. No, the Borg. The episode in which the Borg first appear on screen, which is, of course, Q Who. Did you know that the Borg were inspired by Doctor Who's Cybermen? And that the episode was named Q Who as a nod to Doctor Who, which is where they got the inspiration from. Did you know that? That's one thing. I need the other thing. Sorry, I didn't do that here yet. I need the thicker stripe. Original D7. Oh, didn't know that, but makes sense. Yes. It's just these little things that it's... Knowing these little things about shows, for example, just makes it feel so much more like it was made by humans who actually care about what they're doing. The second thing I wanted to say was, did you know that in Star Trek, what was it? Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, which is the first appearance of the Klingon Brel Bird of Prey, the Klingon Bird of Prey. Did you know that in the original script, the original idea for the story, the original script, it was supposed to be the Romulans. It was supposed to be a Romulan vessel, hence why it can cloak, because if you remember in the original series, at least if I remember correctly, the Klingons couldn't cloak. It was the Romulans who could cloak. Because if you remember, there were 2 episodes, of course, Balance of Terror, in which the Romulans test out the cloaking device was, oh, the ship's gone, it can cloak on that thing. But the Klingons never could cloak, so then, of course, that makes sense. I did, because you told me, but I didn't know about the episode name thing. And were Doctor Who's Cybermen inspired by anything too? Well, Doctor Who's Cybermen were inspired by transplantation. Basically. Because at that time, transplantation was really kind of getting started. I think the first heart transplant had just been made or something like that. Which, of course, was quite a big stir in the public. Like, well, if we can now replace people's organs, what if we replace more of them? And then maybe even more of them. I think maybe, yeah, and artificial limbs stuff. And then, of course, that got started. And then a little bit of sci-fi sprinkled in. And then you've got the Cybermen, which is an extension of that. People who are so augmented with technology and replaced organs, all that sort of stuff, that they're basically no longer human. So that's where the Cybermen came from. Bird of Prey was originally Romulan. Yes. I remember when the movie came out and they said, Bird of Prey, I thought Romulan, not Klingon. Yeah, you're right, because they did call, because the original, I think it's Tillis class, Romulan ship from Balance of Terror, I think they called that a Bird of Prey, if I remember correctly. I mean, it had a literal bird of prey painted on the underside, which I really, really like that. I really, really like that because, like, in what other sci-fi setting are there people who actually just paint art on their ship like that? And then, of course, that design alone gave inspiration later in, I think it was Enterprise. Where they said, like, okay, the Romulans were the ones who chose to march under the Raptor's wing. Yeah, they were the ones who marched under the Raptor's wing, and then who got exiled from Vulcan. Which then, of course, nicely connects with the raptor being painted on their on the birds of prey, or on the war bird. It just all connects very nicely together. Another interesting thing is that in TNG, the Ferengi are mentioned quite a lot, and especially early TNG, like season 1 to 2. Yeah, season 1 and 2. And originally, the Ferengi the Ferengi were meant as kind of TNG's Klingons, TNG's bad guys, yeah? Which also fits with their first appearances. Like, with the first appearance, like, where the Ferengi and the Enterprise are both trapped in this energy thing around a planet, and they say, like, the Ferengi ship has, like, this energy weapon that drains the Enterprise's power, and they say that the Ferengi ship is equal in power to the Enterprise and all that. And then they get down to the planet, and the Ferengi are like these vicious little goblins kind of hopping about with those what were they? Plasma whips or whatever they were. Electro whips, whatever. And yeah, so that the Ferengi were originally supposed to be like the big bad guys of TNG. But then for various reasons, that didn't happen. And because the Ferengi just weren't that well accepted. people didn't really like them. And so they had all these scripts and these ideas for how it should continue. So then they said, okay, well, they don't like the Ferengi. People don't like the Ferengi, so let's call them something else. And so they said, okay, well, they're the Romulans. Yes, the Romulans are coming back, and so a lot of those old scripts, the names just got changed to Romulans, which is how the Romulans kind of became TNG's most prevalent bad guys. Which I think is great, because that means we basically get most of the Romulan lore and stuff we know about them we get from TNG, because of course in the original series they only had like 2 or 3 episodes. There was the one with Balance of Terror, there was the one where the Enterprise was sent to steal the cloaking device, which they just installed on the Enterprise and it worked, no issue. But anyway, yeah, and then TNG of course expanded on that so much. And then DS9 as well a little bit. And then of course, yeah, Enterprise also, because of their origins and that sort of stuff. And with the mind control ship that they had. Well, not mind control ship, the mind controlled ship. Yes. Right. But, okay, originally Romulan. They had traded technology cloaking device for better ships. Yes, that is how they got that. That is the explanation. Which makes sense. Which is ironic, considering how much of a grudge there will be between the Klingons and the Romulans after the war, which was after the whole thing with Enterprise C and the Khitomer. Khitomer? Yeah. Wait, was it Khitomer? Were the Khitomer Accords the thing that was signed in Star Trek 6? No, yeah, it was. And then they were reinstated after the Enterprise C saved that Klingon colony, or at least defended the Klingon colony. Anyway, or outpost, whatever it was. I remember when the movie came out, Bird of Prey, yes. Bird of Prey in Balance of Terror. Here's a fun question. If every part, or I guess organ, of a human is replaced with another human's parts, would it still count as the same human? Well, yes, but you just be in the other location. That's the principle behind the transporters in Star Trek. You take atom by atom away, convert it to energy, put that energy to a different location, and then reassemble it. You've just taken every part and put it back together somewhere else. If there are 2 people and they transport, you take this part, put it there, you take this part, put it there, take every part, swap it out, then they've just swapped positions, surely. Oh, the Dederidex warbird, also great design in my opinion. Very unique, definitely. Yeah, I like that as well. Ferengi seemed to start out as a bit of a joke and I couldn't take them seriously. Yeah, that's how the general viewership felt, which is why a lot of the stories were replaced with the Romulans. It wouldn't be until DS9 that the Ferengi kind of got more credit and more good stories, of course, with Quark and Rom and Nog. And then, of course, also the Liquidator and the Grand Nagus and all that. And of course Moogie, don't forget Moogie. If you know who... By the way, if you're watching this and you don't know anything about Star Trek, don't worry, it's not every episode of this building that we talk about Star Trek to this extent. Right. Enterprise incident. The Romulans first had the D7 and they stole the cloaking device. Yes, right, that's where that happened. Yes, of course, because I remember, because the line where it's like they see that the D7 is like a Klingon ship and then it's no, it's a Romulan ship. Yes, that is when that happened, of course. Yes. Would have been nice if Enterprise B and C got their own TV series. series? Series, I think, is the plural. Yeah, I mean, with Enterprise B, I think I would have much preferred a series about the Excelsior, because the Excelsior was captained by Sulu, and having them get their own series would have been really nice. That would have been Excelsior class ship, because yeah, you could do the Enterprise B, but then that's probably captained by I don't know who, maybe Spock. I don't know if Spock ever took over command of the Enterprise. Maybe not. I don't know. But it would probably be a completely new captain. Maybe the guy we see in Generations. It will probably be him. And he seems like a good captain, but I would prefer a series with Sulu as the captain. But that never got made. And with the Enterprise C, yes, it would be nice to see a bit more about of the Ambassador class. However, that would then probably focus largely on the Romulan conflict, that Romulan war, which, I don't know. DS9 already had quite a bit of that, and then Enterprise as well, and I would prefer a bit more about like exploring the unknown and stuff like that, which yeah, although it could have been interesting. Anyway, Shadows, I mean, like, one by one, over a longer time. 1 organ a week? Well, then you'd probably switch places when your brain gets switched, I would assume. Although, if the electromagnetical field gets transferred as well, I don't know. Because that, of course, also plays a part in who you are. Let's see. This is getting there. This needs to be gotten rid of. I don't know. In the remastered version of Enterprise Incident, they put a bird of prey on the D7s. Oh, you mean painted on? Oh, well, that's nice. I like that. Yeah. I don't have the remasters, because I mean the remaster, it could be nice, but the thing is, I do like the old special effects. I mean, because it is from that time period, and I get it if you make it look more modern, like make it look a bit better with today's tools, because back in the day, if they had the option between what they had or what they could have done now, they probably would have done what they could do now. But yeah, it is good to have both versions available, I would say. Also, did you know the character Morn that often appeared in Quark's bar from Star Trek DS9 was a parody of Cheers' Norm character, albeit silent? Yes, I know that. Shardise, yeah, you're right. I'd probably agree on that. Ooh, I'll have a look at that. So it was a bird of prey and 2 D7s. Oh, and they had the thing painted on them. Yeah, I get that. I understand that. I think that's probably a good change, because that way it's clearer that it's actually the Romulans. Interesting. Morn is Norm spelled sideways. Sideways, yes. Yeah, haha, true. Makes it consistently Romulan. Yeah, true. That is such a funny word. Like, just take that out of concept. Just the term consistently Romulan. That's funny. That is funny. That's a bit wonky now. There we are. I think that looks interesting. Of course, I'll need to place a bit more clutter around the plates and stuff like that. But I think this already looks... I mean, the real question is, what am I going to use for the thumbnail? Because although there's a lot of work done on this bit, it's not really anything that you can put on a thumbnail. I mean, we've still got an hour. Well, 3/4 an hour-ish. So it's not like I have to get one now, but just a thing to keep in mind. I'll place a few more newspapers and stuff around. Right. Here's a question. What are all your favorite characters? Okay, first of all, from the original series. What are your favorite characters from the original series? Like, what's your favorite character from the original series? Let's see. Why not just have a huge stack of newspapers right there? I'm not sure why they're all there. Maybe they're used as fuel for something to start fires. I don't know. I think the remastered TOS episodes turned out pretty good. They updated it just enough, but did not overdo it. Yeah. Sprinkle in some vehicles and semi-trailers, yes. Romulan D7 for the thumbnail. Now that would be clickbait. I know that if I saw a Trainz video about with the Romulan D7 in the thumbnail, I would be pretty disappointed if it's not actually about... Although I guess it is about Star Trek, since that's what we're mostly talking about, but... yeah, that might be a bit clickbaity. Never saw the remasters, but that's nice to hear. XD. Original Spock and Scotty. Yeah, that is my choice exactly. That is exactly what I was going to say. Because original Spock is such an original character and has such a good rapport and all of that. I really like him. And also Scotty, because, well, yeah, Scotty is just fun, basically. Scotty's, yeah, fun. Quick, Shut Eyes, open up Blender and model the D7 for the thumbnail. No, that'd take too long. But I could. It would make sense if they read the chat in the archive. Yeah, especially since I'm reading all of chat. Yeah, I also like those characters. Yeah, or if they listened to Shard Eyes read the chat in the archive. Yeah, true. Yes. So, okay, now how about the... Okay, so how about the animated... Have you... Actually, here's a question. Willis 1961, have you ever watched the animated series? I think a bin would look good there. Like one of these ones. You hit him after he insulted your captain? You hit him after you insulted your captain? Of course not. I hit him when he called the Enterprise a garbage cow. Haha. Ah, yes, that was Trouble with Tribbles, correct? We're on Deep Space K7. K7 or just K7? K4. K7? K7, yes. Yeah, yes? Or K4? 7, it was 7, right? K4, no, 4. I can't remember. No, it was 4, I think. Hold on, I'll have to look this up. Or was it K7? No, it was K7. I was right in the first turn. I was right in the first thing. There we go. It was K7. There we are. Ha 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 ha. Watched TAS when it was originally a Saturday morning cartoon. Yes. Trouble with Tribbles. Deep Space K7. It was K7. Yes. Yeah, and the thing is that for a long time, the animated series wasn't considered canon by most people. However, with Star Trek Lower Decks, which I actually like, I think Star Trek Lower Decks is probably the best new Star Trek series to be made in a long time. It's so much better than Discovery, and I would say it's definitely more like it's definitely more Star Trek than Star Trek Picard. Even though I like that as well, but I like the Lower Decks more. And in Lower Decks, it's actually canonized more. Like the animated series. Like, for example, there's a scene where they have a data pad with an image of Kirk and Spock on it, because they were revisiting a planet that Kirk and Spock went to. The one with, what was it? The one where the people had like a few hours of the day where everybody just murdered each other and stuff, and then they went back to normal with a computer that was in the something like Lando, something like that. Anyway, they revisited that planet, and on the datapad, Kirk and Spock, Landru, there we go, Landru, thank you very much. And on that datapad, Kirk and Spock were drawn in the old animated series art style. So yeah, and it's not only that, but those aliens who have the 3 legs and 3 arms, the orange one, like the helmsman in the animated series, yeah, we meet one of those again in Star Trek Lower Decks. So I think that's really, really nice I think that shows that the people who made Lower Decks actually care about the continuity and about the franchise. So, yeah. Wasn't there a thing with Star Trek 4 where Scotty hit his head on the USS Enterprise aircraft carrier? No. No. The USS Enterprise aircraft carrier was Star Trek 4. The Voyage Home. However, the thing where Scotty hit his head was on the Enterprise A, no bloody B, C, or D, in Star Trek 5, which was after Cyborg had imprisoned Kirk, Spock, and Bones. Scotty broke them out, and then they were walking around in the maintenance tubes, and that's when Scotty was supposed to sabotage something, like disable the engines or something like that. And of course he said, I know this ship like the back of my hand, and then clonk. So, yeah, that was Star Trek 5. Right, so I guess a few vehicles would be quite nice. Yeah, I'd say TS should be canon. I mean, why not? Landru? Yeah, but that means that a giant Spock is also canon. And that is also referenced in the Lower Decks, the episode with the giant Spock. It's referenced, so there you go. Landru? Landru! There you go, yes. Yay, alright. TS was the first time they could really do a lot of non-humanoid aliens. Yes, that's true. That is true. Which is why we get things like those plant aliens who are dying out, and do you remember that episode? I don't remember what it's called. The episode with those plant aliens that look like artichokes, where they go down to the planet and it's like they're dying off, and they go into that chamber with all those their ancestors that are huge and all look like covered in webbing and all that. That was so creepy. Do you remember that episode? I don't know what the name was. Hold on. I'll be with you shortly. Dun, dun. I'm not sure which episode it was. Hold on, I'll be there in a moment. I'll quickly search for maybe plant. Oh, there we go. The infinite Vulcan picks up a walking plant. Poisoned beings. Yeah, it was that one. The infinite Vulcan. Hold on. Or maybe it wasn't. No, it was. There we go. Those artichoke guys. If you look at this, if you look at that image, those ones, if you remember those. Yeah, they were all down because someone from Earth came with, yeah. Was there, but there was such great design in it as well that doesn't, like it doesn't even look like that much like general Star Trek design. This is the room with those giant ancestors. That is the one that looked so creepy. Look at that. If you look at that image, that's the exact scene I meant. Where they open up this corridor and just see those giant dead ancestors just standing there in those alcoves. That is... Yeah, I mean, I remember when I first watched it, that was so creepy. Let's see. My mistake, I'm a bit rusty when it comes to Star Trek knowledge. Yes, wasn't there one on the bridge instead of Chekhov? Yes. I think the Horta was about the only non-humanoid alien in TOS. Ah, yes, the Horta. Good old Horta. Well, you've got a lot of energy beings in Star Trek original series, like just basically a rotating ball of blurry lens flare and stuff like that. But yeah, I might be right. I'm trying to think of something. Well, actually, that depends. Do you think that the Doomsday Machine was alive? Well, you've got the robots, of course, as well. Like things like the... Oh, what was he called? Intrepid? No. The one who thought that Kirk was his creator. No, not V'ger. The other one from the series. Where Kirk talked him into the one that crashed with an alien mineral soil sampling probe. Where then the programming turned into find the perfect sample and destroy everything else. Where... he thought that Kirk was his creator, and then he ended up destroying it by saying that, well, you thought that I was your creator, but I'm not, so that means you made a mistake, so that means you're not perfect, that means you need to destroy yourself. Which it then did. If you count those aren't humanoid. Oh yes, other than glowing lights and or mysterious gas. Yes. Although, actually, no, in the episode where Kirk is kind of made to be a gladiator, with... no, that was the episode with Trickster, right? The Tricksters of whatever? I don't remember. But in that episode where, like, Uhura and all the others are wearing those collars with that triangular light thing, and where they're made to fight. there were some aliens there who lived in those dome-shaped structures. Who were not humanoid. If you know what I mean. Maybe it wasn't Trickster. Maybe it was something stir at the end. No, not Trickster. Gamester. It was Gamester of something, I think. Getting some cavernous Ghosted Mansions flashbacks. That was the hardest level of the bunch. Hahaha. I'd say at least. Oh yeah. Oh yes. Vague memories coming back. Don't think I've watched any animated series since it was originally on. Whoa, reminds me of those green robots on the spaceship. Yeah, they do look a bit like that. I wonder if that's a coincidence. He's talking about my game, Living Art. I know it is coincidence, by the way. It's just coincidence. Oh, spoilers. Yeah, STLD, Star Trek Load X, is alright. If I were to criticize it, I would say that it's a bit in your face, and also it is quite fast-paced. I didn't really mind that, but the episodes are never really calm or relaxed. It's like every character's shouting all the time. Well, that was in some episodes that is true, but not in all of them, I think. It's like it's like every character's shouting all the time, but I did like it. The humor was fairly alright, but it never managed to make me laugh. Well, I did laugh at some of it. Nomad! There we go. Of course, Nomad. That sounds right. Yeah? Those were not really aliens, but ships or probes. True. That is true. Sterilize. Exterminate. Exterminate? Yeah, exactly. Gamesters of Triskelion. There we go. Yes. That's the episode name. But why did it destroy itself? If Kirk wasn't its creator, why did it listen to him? And why did it trust Kirk that he wasn't its creator? Well, the probe only knew a name. Knew Kirk. And I think even I think it was James Kirk. And so I thought, okay, this is the guy. But then when you knew that it was James Tiberius Kirk, or James T. Kirk, whatever it was, then that was proven by the ship's data logs, everything. It meant it was not perfect. So in order to complete its programming, it had to mark itself as having to be destroyed. Exterminate! Yes, I remember the episode where they were a few miles off Nuremberg. Where the Daleks were speaking German. Yeah. Sure it is. Oh, that's where you got it. Oh, it is a coincidence? Yeah, it is a coincidence. Alright. Wasn't Nomad also the name of a planet in Outer Wilds? Yeah. Or comet? Yeah, it was a comet, yes, actually. No, wasn't it Timber Hearth Moon? It was a comet. It was a logical trap. Creator's name was Roy Kirk, not Kirk. Oh, yes. It's been a while since I've seen that episode, or those episodes in general. Yes. Alright, comment. Yes, and when this is uploaded, comment down below. No, there isn't actually one, so don't go looking for it. Sorry about that. I know I was getting your hopes up about there being a comment down below, but no. Yes, I am just painting this down there just to make it look a little bit more used, so it should be easily recognized. Sorry, not used. So over here you can just about see that other texture. Alright, that makes sense. Alright, comet, XD. No. Okay, well, what about TNG? Favorite characters, people? Once upon a time, I think I could probably quote every entire TOS episode. Yeah, I've had the same thing with Jurassic Park at one point. At one point, I think I could have quoted the entire Jurassic Park movie. And some TOS episodes as well, I think. But never everything. Maybe put a link to a picture of a comet in the description of this live streamed archive? Maybe. Wow, now that's a feat and a half. In D&D, probably yes. Right, I'm just kind of looking. Vehicles, that's what I wanted, vehicles. Maybe, alright. Tasha Yar. Interesting. D&D favorite TNG character? I would, Tasha Yar. Yeah, she was nice. The thing is, they never really did much with her character, which is why the actress left, because she felt that she wasn't being properly used as an actress. So, yeah, but yeah, she was nice. I think probably, for me, it would probably be either a tie between Data and Picard. And yes, I say Picard, even though the actual French pronunciation is Picard, but these sound, but he says Picard, so there we go. Why Tasha Yar? I'm curious. Bella. Oh, wait, wrong series. What of Picard himself? Wesley Crusher, perhaps? Really not sure. Couldn't stand Riker or Wesley. Well, yeah, I can see that. That is quite a... Yeah, Wesley... Although the thing is that most of the criticism about Wesley's character is that he is basically... He was supposed to be the perfect kid, yeah? Perfect kid. Which is also why they ended up having families on the starship, because it would be weird if Wesley was the only kid there, so they had to have families on the Enterprise, which is where that came from. Yeah, but I think, well, I actually quite liked Wesley, because it was through Wesley being there on the bridge that I could more imagine like what it would be like if I were there, and if I got to walk around the Enterprise and the bridge and go to 10 forward and the holodeck and everything. So that was... I did quite like it because of that. I don't know much. I guess if I might think differently if I thought about that character more. Because as a character, yeah, Wesley in the character isn't that great, because he was kind of the perfect kid. If Wesley... It was like... Whenever Wesley messed up, it was always either because there was some sort of strange bacteria or something that was making everybody drunk. Even then he saved the ship, which was in the episode good, but yeah, I can see where that's coming from. She seemed most real, although they didn't develop her as much as they could have. True. Yeah, I think Wesley was meant to represent the kids watching it. He was a Mary Sue. If all else fails, have Wesley save the day when senior crew with hundreds of years of service and experience cannot figure things out. Yeah, true. He was supposed to be the genius, but... although they did fix a lot of that in the episodes where he's at the academy, because the thing with him being part of the Nova Squad, I think it was called, where that other guy died, that other guy died, and Wesley wasn't the perfect kid, and he went along with the lie of fake Tom Paris. Yeah, and then that's Pete, and then the senior staff slowly figuring out that it doesn't make sense, and of course Beverly going along, like believing in Wesley so much that she puts her career on the line. And then that scene where Wesley then tells her to stop because he doesn't want her to risk her career like this. And then the thing about Picard, I mean, that speech with Picard about where he says that when Wesley was there on the bridge, and that he thought that Wesley was so good and all that, and that he had never had any doubts but until now, and that the first duty of any Starfleet officer is to the truth, whether it's historical truth or scientific truth or personal truth, and that if he doesn't understand that he doesn't deserve to wear that uniform and all of that, and then when he says that he's going to make it very simple for him, either he comes clean himself or Picard's going to basically come clean for him. And that was really good. I really liked that. That was a good episode. Yeah, true. He would have been okay if he didn't always end up saving them. True, but I think that if you think about the episodes, like, if you really think about them, if you think about it in that way, then yeah, I get that. But I think when I first watched it, when I was quite young, and then it's not so much of a question of how realistic that is, or how it makes them look, or what that would entail, that stuff. It's more like it's kind of fun, because it's like, it was like, oh, I could be, if I were there, maybe I could save the day as well. When you're someone who's young who's watching that, which maybe is what they planned behind that, but yeah. All right, the Academy the Academy bit was the most realistic storyline for him. True. Wasn't Miles O'Brien also TNG character? Yes, he was Transporter Chief, I think. Maybe also him. I know he appeared in DS9. Yes, O'Brien was good. Yeah, O'Brien is nice. I think that in DS9, O'Brien feels the most human out of the characters. I don't mean that the others don't feel human. I mean that O'Brien in DS9 at least is the one who feels the most like a human from modern, like from our times almost. Like he always tries well, but he has other. Yeah, I like O'Brien. Oh, of course. Also, with TNG, you've also got Barclay, who's, I think, a very interesting character. And his arc, because he wasn't perfect, he had issues, and how he dealt with them, and how that then all evolved, and then him playing a role in Voyager as well. I agree. Riker was too unrealistic. You just do not keep turning down your own command when it is offered. Do that as many times as he did, and he would have been forced into retirement. Yeah, especially since being first officer on the flagship of the Federation fleet is probably a position that a lot of other officers are aspiring to. And then it's like you can just imagine, like, somewhere on some space station or something, it's like one of them saying, "Oh, did you hear? They're offering, the Admiralty are offering Riker a position. We hear there's a first officer position opening up on the Enterprise. Like, oh, maybe I'll get it. Maybe this is my chance." Like, oh, he didn't take his command. Oh, it's okay. Well, maybe in another year. And like, oh, they're offering it again. Okay, no, he's a refusee. Yeah. I'll just give a casual rundown of some of the main TNG characters I can think of. Okay, Picard, Geordi, Miles, Wesley, Beverly, Diana, William, Tasha, Worf. What about Data? You forgot Data. They also carried Miles and Worf over to DS9. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Barclay. In TNG, it seemed like they created Worf as a comic relief. He didn't become good until after Yar died. Well, I think that a big reason for having Worf there is to show long-time viewers, that the Klingons really are allies. Yeah? So what better than to have a Klingon working as part of the bridge crew? Also, of course, if you want to show that an alien, this is the Worf effect, which is, if you want to show that an alien is really powerful and really strong in the threat, then have it beat up Worf, basically. So Worf comes in, tries to attack it, like he's a Klingon warrior, yeah, and then he just gets thrown around to the other side of the room, thrown across the room, to show that this other thing is really serious and really to be taken seriously. Which of course doesn't make Worf look that powerful, I guess the best word for it. Because there are only very rare situations where Worf, it's like, oh yeah, he's a Klingon warrior, and, well, I say that, but he's like there, and then he actually does fight and really wins easily. So TNG spoilers. Yeah. Oh yeah, Data. Originally he acted like Strax. Attack! Blow it up! Strax. Yes. Do you like Strax? Do you like Strax? Yeah, from Doctor Who, the Sontaran, Strax. I think the Sontarans are fun. Yeah, if Worf gets knocked out by it, the audience knows, okay, this is an actual threat. Yeah, also an empty barrel. There's an episode where Worf, the episode where Worf is disabled and where he wants to be killed because he doesn't want to live being disabled. There's a lot of newspapers there. I think I need some big newspaper stacks to make this look realistic. And then there's, in the cargo bay, the ship shakes, an empty barrel falls on his back, disabling him, severing the nerve. But in that episode, there's a thing that doesn't really make sense, because there's this specialist brought onto the Enterprise who has this experimental therapy that could potentially make Worf, like, completely heal Worf, but if it doesn't, it'll kill him, yeah? Beverly says no, she's not doing that. Why? Because Worf, at this point, has already said that he wants to be killed, he wants to die if he can't make a full recovery. And that is his right there, he can do that, and he is going to do that. Beverly said no, she's not doing that, which of course makes sense, but of course respecting other cultures, anyway. But she says that, but in the end of the day, Worf would win. If he can't get her to do it, then he's going to get someone else to do it. Yeah. So either he's going to die, or he might die or make a full recovery. So why doesn't Beverly want to use it? That's a good question for me. Anyway, Strax, love the entire Paternoster gang. Yeah. They should get their own spin-off show. True, that would be fun. Oh, of course, those! They also appeared in Sarah Jane Adventures. What do you mean, the Strax? What do you mean, the Strax? Strax was the name of the individual. You mean the Sontarans. Anyway, yeah. What do you say? What's your favorite character from TNG, Kango Fango? Wait, oh, XD. Let's see, what should I do? Trucks, I need trucks. Let's grab, get that truck. XD. They're parked there, they're not using those two bays there. Yeah, I don't remember all of the Doctor Who species names. That's my bad, that. It's okay, you can't really be expected to know them all. This might be a bit too modern. Hold on. I want to get a different one. Maybe this one. I know it's the same truck, but I want this one here. TNG had several of those contradictory episodes that did not logically make sense for the characters, just so they could have a story. Yeah, that's true. But then again, with any it's very, very rare to have a TV series where everything makes logical sense if you think about everything, where everything is a good episode. Maybe I'll move these somewhere else if I want to have a truck unloading here. Yeah. Like, for example, one thing in Star Trek TNG especially is that they seem to often forget about the transporters, because if there is a ship, like for example, there's an episode where Geordi, I'm not sure, maybe they have the shields up in that. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not sure. Riker. Let's do, okay, Riker. Riker, he is in a planet, he gets put in a this is the one where they were spying on the people and then they discover it. So where Riker was undercover. Riker gets injured and gets put in a hospital, and they think that maybe he's an alien. This is a pre-warp civilization. Which I think was a good episode, I think, but this point doesn't really make that much sense. Because they think that, oh no, Riker is dying and they need to get him back and they don't know where he is. Even though he's the only human on the planet, and we know that in TNG, the sensors are accurate enough to be able to find this, because we see that a lot of times it's like they say 2 human life signs on something from orbit, yeah? But so they why don't they find him like that? And then if they don't find him like that, why then? Yeah. But if they do find him, then they could just use the transporters. Because it's like, a lot of the time it's like they can only lock onto someone if they have the comm badge on, which just isn't true. And in a lot of other scenarios, it's like they're in some potentially dangerous situation, and it's like they have a few moments, they're running away, and all that stuff. They go hide in a corner, but then they get caught. Why not just tap it, tap the comm badge? Enterprise, want to beam up, or Enterprise, emergency transport, and then they'd be out of there. It's like they forget about the transporter a lot of the time. Which in my, I GM a Star Trek game on Saturdays, Star Trek role-playing game, tabletop role-playing game, and in that, no, we are taking full advantage of the transporters when the players remember that they have them, which they sometimes don't, which is like the exact same thing that's happening in the TV show, that they sometimes just don't remember them. That is really quite fun. Quite a lot of fun. Shared ice, maybe have the trailer parked sideways in there, where the cars were parked in the front of the unloading bays. No, I like it better this way. They forced the square peg into the round hole just to make a story. Yeah, and to some degree I agree with that. If you have to make some little things not make sense in order to tell a good story, and if it is a good story, then yeah, I can, to some extent, I can get on board with that. It's just that, I mean, I myself would only do that as a last resort. And the thing is, with that episode, with Riker being on the planet, I mean, they could have just said that, okay, we know where Riker is, we could just beam him up. However, they already suspect him of being an alien. And if we beam him up, if he just vanishes, then that's going to confirm it. That is going to wreak havoc with their society. So we can't do that. And then the danger becomes getting him out there without making it seem like he's an alien, instead of Riker being in danger and they need to find him. It's just such a little tweak that, to me at least, would make the story make much more sense. It would also make it more interesting, in my opinion, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, I don't remember that episode, but yeah. They just throw in some kind of atmospheric anomaly to justify the story. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense if there's like lightning storms or if there are like metallic particles in the atmosphere that could disrupt transporters. Oh, interesting. Shadows, is that Star Trek game using the STA system? Yes, Star Trek Adventures by Modiphius, I think. Yeah, true. They did it too often that it became a crutch for bad writing. Yeah, true. But then again, you do have a lot of really good gems in there as well. Episodes. And the thing is, a lot of those episodes that don't make that much sense if you think about them. The actual story is good. It's just... yeah. But then again, at that time, they were under quite a bit of time stress, of course, as well. It does make sense, though. Humans' natural thoughts usually don't include transporter technology, but yeah. No, if I would love to play that in that tabletop role-playing game, that Star Trek tabletop role-playing game, that IGM, I would love to play in that as a player, because because I'm that well-versed in Star Trek, I wouldn't forget that stuff. It's like, oh, there's a situation, like, okay, well, we'll just transport it up. And then, of course, the GM could make up a reason, like, oh, it doesn't work because there's some alloy in the other ship's hull that is disrupting our transporter lock. We can't get a good lock on them, or something like that. And then, but yeah, I would love to play in that. But the thing is, there is nobody to GM it, because in my group, well, except for maybe one other player, I'm the only one who knows enough to be able to run it. And that other player has so far shown no interest, well, a little bit of interest, but not recently, of wanting to run a game themselves, so yeah. However, it would be a lot of fun to be a player in that. Let's see, just a little bit of fence there, a little bit of fence here. Off fence, a little bit off fence. No, not a little bit off fence. Not a little bit of fence here, a little bit off fence there. No. They would take the easy way out instead of better developing the story too often. Yeah. If you actually lived in that era, you would remember the transporter. True. That is true. I mean, I remember the transporter, and I don't live in that era much. Also, it's another very inconsistent thing is, can you or can you not beam through shields? Yeah? Because in a lot of episodes, it's a plot point that you can't beam through the shields. Okay. But then in a lot of other episodes, they do just beam through shields. It's like, raise shields, red alert. And it's like, can you get a transporter lock on him? Getting closer. And it's like, right, I've got a lock, energize. And they do that without ever lowering the shields. And then in another episode, it's like, we can't transport him. We'd have to lower our shields. We can't lower our shields because of the danger. We'd get irradiated and all that stuff. So yeah, that's not that consistent. Also, another thing is, can you go to warp within a system? According to Star Trek the Motion Picture, and I think a couple of TNG episodes, no, you can't. You have to go out of the system and then go to warp. However, in most other episodes, you can. Like the Enterprise for example, at the end of the episode, they're around the planet, the Enterprise comes around orbiting and then deorbits and goes to warp. Now, for my role-playing game that I'm running, the game that I'm running, not my system, I've made it so that you can go to warp in a system, but it's very, very dangerous. Like, you could just rip the ship apart very easily doing that. It's like difficulty 5 task, which is really, really difficult. The most difficult thing. Yeah? Because that makes it more interesting in my stories. Because oh no, there's a thing. We need to go to warp now. They're getting away. Like, do we risk going to warp in the system, or do we go to the edge and then they spend momentum and do all sorts of stuff, and yeah, that just gives a lot of interesting things. XD, a little bit of offense here, a little bit of offense there. Again, they broke canon to fix a plot hole in the story that they were too lazy to actually fix. Plot hole. Oh yeah, you're right. That is a bit of a pothole there. Yes. GM in thoughts. Would it be like, oh darn it! He thought of the transporters. I was hoping he wouldn't, but he did. I'm gonna make up a reason for why the transporters don't work. Quick, think. Ah yes, a mysterious alloy in the ship's hull. There we go. That'll work. Captain, there's a mysterious alloy in the ship's hull. We can't get a lock on you. Yeah, basically. Star Trek plots are like a slab of cheese. A lot of it is solid, but it does have quite a few holes. Well, it depends on the cheese. Pothole. Yeah. Okay, well, what about DS9? What about DS9? In terms of favorite characters. What are your favorite characters of DS9? Because I think with DS9, I'd have a much more difficult time, because DS9 has so many great characters in it. Because DS9 is kind of forced to build more in terms of character development because you're stuck on a space station, so... Roddenberry had a writer's Bible to keep things consistent, but after he died, they broke it more and more often. Yeah, but the Roddenberry box was also a bit of a hindrance. Like, for example, there was one rule that humans were so evolved that you can't have a conflict between humans. That can't be shown. Either the human has to be possessed by some alien, or there has to be something that, like a mind-altering drug or something, but just normal, ordinary humans having conflicts with each other is not something that was allowed. Nog? O'Brien again? Gul Dukat? Those are your favorite characters? Nog, O'Brien, and Gul Dukat? I only watched the first few seasons and didn't really get into it. Jadzia Dax, the Trill, seemed like the most human character in the bunch. Yeah, the thing with DS9, it does get really, really good as you go on, because the entire Dominion War arc, which goes, I think, across multiple seasons, shows so much. There is so much excellent character work in there. With the first couple of seasons do have some episodes but as it goes on, they're just it's great. At least I think so. But yeah, Jadzia Dax was I like Jadzia Dax. I think that it depends on whether you're talking about earlier or later. In the earlier seasons, I would probably say Jadzia Dax and Quark. Probably, yeah. But then later on, I think that Sisko, because in that, Benjamin Sisko, the main character, has so much character development, which doesn't happen in any other Star Trek series aside from Star Trek Enterprise. So yeah, I mean, he would go up there as well. Yeah. Interesting. I had exclamation points, question marks. Will have to watch the entire thing someday. Didn't see the later episodes. Julian Bashir? Kieran Reese? Odo? No. Rom. Well, actually, yeah. Rom, Quark's brother, is also a really good character because he starts out being very submissive to his older brother, to Quark, in the bar, and being basically thrown around by him and exploited. But then his relationship with his son, Nog, develops, and he finds more self-confidence and more of that, and Ezri Dax, I didn't really like Ezri Dax that much. The thing is with Ezri Dax, actually I'm not gonna say it because it's spoilers. In the beginning I liked her character, but then it just kept on doing the same thing. A lot of people really got down on Enterprise, but I really liked it. Yeah, I really liked it as well. I do really like it as well. What am I actually going to do here, though? I think this needs to be a bit of a different color. No. Maybe this one. No, I think it really needs to be a bit darker over there, so to have a bit more contrast there. Because the thing is with Enterprise, I think that a lot of people didn't like it because the first season, before the Xindi thing happened, had a lot of basically insulated episodes, like where they meet this alien race, and they're under-equipped, and they have, and then they meet these alien peoples, and they're under-equipped, and all that sort of stuff. Which is kind of the point. This is humanity's first venture really out there. They're supposed to be under-equipped. I mean, they've only just broken the Warp 5 barrier. Yeah, basically. Okay, well, what about Voyager? What are your thoughts on Voyager? Both of you, Kango Fango and Willis 1961. Same. Sure is. Yeah, true. I think this area could use a few small trees. Let me just grab some. Where were they? I had some. Over here, maybe? Oh, I guess I might as well grab this one. It had its moments, but it was like a it was a lot like Battlestar Galactica. I've never seen Battlestar Galactica. But yeah, I think Voyager did definitely have its moments, but the writers of Voyager, they just didn't really know what to do with it, I think, because I really like the premise of, okay, this Starfleet ship is stuck on the other side of the galaxy. They don't have the Federation might behind them if they need help. And in addition to that, they have the Maquis crew on board, who, of course, have different ideals and want to do things differently. And having Chakotay, the first officer as a Maquis, gives so much potential in terms of stories. Like, you can just imagine, like, okay, Janeway, a very typical Starfleet captain who has a certain point of view, a certain way of doing things, and then having the first officer having a completely different, more, the Maquis point of view, like being the underdog and all of that sort of thing, not being bogged down by Starfleet regulations, all that. And in season 1, they did do a bit with that, but then they kind of just forgot about that. And Chakotay kind of just became the guy who says, oh, we should do this maybe, and Janeway saying, no, we're not doing that. If you just imagine if you just think of how often that happened in the show, and then think about returning home, I think that I think it could have been a lot better if Voyager didn't have regenerative health, if that makes sense. because with Voyager, they always hit the reset button after every episode. So they come into a fight with the Kazon. And Voyager only narrowly escapes, and they resolve the episode, and the next episode, Voyager's fine. And that throughout the whole thing. When Voyager comes back home at the end, because, spoilers, yeah, Voyager does come back home at the end, there's not a scratch on it. Yeah? After it's been through seasons of Borg territory. So I think it would have been a lot better if they were keeping track of things like resources Voyager had. For example, shuttlecraft or torpedoes or just general damage. And Voyager having to stop off more often to repair and to buy supplies and things like that, or trade supplies. But they didn't do that because, of course, at the time, it was thought a terrible idea to have a serialized TV show, which, of course, nowadays, most things are serialized. Of course, stuff like Star Trek Discovery, Doctor Who, I think Game of Thrones as well, although I haven't watched that. And actually, no, it works really well, because back then, their thinking was that, okay, if someone who's never seen an episode of Star Trek watches this episode, they need to know exactly what's going on. They can't be at a disadvantage. Which, of course, makes sense in an era where TV isn't... You have to wait for reruns if you want to see an episode again, if you missed something. But yeah, that meant that Voyager, at the end of every episode, had to hit the reset button, which means that kind of defeats the whole premise of being stranded on the other side of the galaxy if there are no permanent consequences for what they do. There is one exception to that, and that is the episode Year of Hell, which is a two-parter, in which Voyager does have all that stuff that happens to it, and at the end of that two-parter, Voyager is beaten up and... well, I won't spoil what happens, but even though at that end of the episode, of course, they still hit the reset button, which in that episode makes sense, but yeah. I think they could have just done so much more with it. Also, characters. If you think about Tom Paris, what is Tom Paris an expert on? That's my question. Yeah? Because he's not only the helmsman, he's not only an ace pilot, he's not only great at piloting starships. No, well, he's also a holonovelist. Yeah, he writes holonovels. Okay, well, yeah, that's a hobby, that's okay. Well, he's also the guy who, on the other side of the galaxy, invented a shuttle that goes at infinite speed, breaking the Warp 10 barrier. Yeah? And a lot of it is like that. It's like someone says something and does something, and it's not really in character per se. It's like any of the, well, most of the characters could have said that thing and it would have made just as much sense. Another thing is that they didn't really do anything with Kim. If you remember Kim, yeah, do you remember him? Operations? I think it was Operations. There was no character development with Kim at all. Like, okay, think about it. What episode of Voyager do you remember that really focused on Harry Kim that could not have been the focus of any of the other characters? Yeah? Also, here's a fun thing. Do you remember that time that Harry Kim died? And he wasn't brought back, he just died. Do you remember that? I'll rechat a bit. Fun fact, Scott Bakula, who had played Captain Archer in Star Trek Enterprise, also played the main character Sam in Quantum Leap, which is a sci-fi time travel history series. Very good, I'd actually say. Yeah, it is. I liked Star Trek Voyager. Well, yeah, I like it as well. I just think there was so much wasted potential in it. Quantum Leap was a very good show. Yes. Dun 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 and so on. Yes, in search of home or a new home. Yeah, Battlestar Galactica, yeah, I can see that. Also, the character of what was her name? The captain. Can't think of her name. Janeway, of course, Janeway. Catherine Janeway. The character of Captain Catherine Janeway changed so much across the series. In one episode, she would be written this way, and in another episode, she would be written a completely different way. Yeah? Which, of course, also doesn't help it much. I think that the main problem with Voyager is that they had a really bold idea for a show, but then they weren't really either brave enough, the showrunners weren't brave enough to experiment with it. Like, they wanted to have this completely different premise for a Star Trek show, but then they tried to tell the exact same stories, or very similar stories, to what they told with other Star Trek shows. One common thread throughout all of Star Trek series, one common thread throughout all of Star Trek series, the ship's token Barbie doll, TOS, Yeoman Barbie, TNG, Betazoid Barbie, TNG, Trill Barbie, TNG, ENT, Vulcan Barbie, Voyager, Borg Barbie. True. That is, yeah. I can see what you mean. And the thing is that I do think that they brought 7 of 9 on board to boost the sex appeal of the show, to try to get its ratings up. And I'm sure that to some extent that probably worked. But then I think that 7 of 9 became the most, at least in my opinion, the most well-developed character in Star Trek DS9. Because her character arc of becoming more human, and often when she juxtaposes Janeway's idea of what should be done, she's often proved right. Her ideas are better than Janeway's a lot of the time. And then her connection with the Doctor, how that develops, like the holographic Doctor, and all of that, and then her history with the Borg and slowly uncovering who she was and reclaiming her humanity. She has a really well-developed character arc, and that character is just, so much is done with that character, that at the end of it, I think she's the most well-developed character in the series. At least I think so. Seasons of Borg territory? But nah, it's alright. Not a scratch on her. Yeah. I think that if I made my players in my Star Trek game go through seasons of Borg territory, if they'd survive, they'd probably have a couple of scratches on them. And a couple of them would probably be Borg drones at that point. Also, it was also about the Borg in Star Trek Voyager. What do you think about the use of the Borg in Star Trek Voyager? Because that's actually a very interesting topic. At least I find it interesting. Willis, 1961. I do think they got rid of that with the Discovery, Picard, and Lower Decks series. Well, Lower Decks, yes. Picard, yeah, probably. Well, debatable. And Discovery, Discovery is a whole nother can of worms. He can fix ancient antique trucks. Yes, he's a car expert. Yes, I remember that. That was fun. That was fun though, where they found the truck and then in space, just floating in space. I don't remember much of that story's plotline, but I think I remember having fun watching that story. Oh yeah, Shadays, I'd love to answer, but I don't really remember any specific episodes right now. Yeah, so 1971, 60s, 70s car smash against concrete beneath elevator highway. What do you mean? Harry Kim, forgettable character. Yeah, because they don't really do much with him. The most common way that Harry Kim was used in the show is to be Tom Paris's buddy. Not body, but buddy. Like his pal. So if he need to have someone to exposit to or something like that. But do you remember that episode where he died? Where Harry Kim died and didn't come back? Probably not. In fact, I did forget about him. Okay, so there was an episode where Harry Kim got sucked out of an airlock and died. However, his body, and this time really, I mean his body, his physical body, was found by aliens, and they then grew a clone of him, which was actually one of their aliens. So that's the only way they can reproduce, by essentially cloning others, dead people, and then giving all of the memories to them, and then having themselves carry on like that. And then that clone of Harry Kim continued his voyage on Voyager, pun intended, and it's never brought up again. Never, ever. In that episode, I think Harry Kim he only finds out that he's actually not the original him, but just a clone, and the original him is dead. I mean, such a thing should be brought up at least once. But it's never brought up again. If you watch the last episodes of Voyager with Harry Kim, one of his good episodes was when they were testing out the slipstream drive, later episode, which causes Voyager to crash because he made a mistake in his calculations or something like that. And then many, many years later, he comes back and he's traumatized by that, so he wants to... hold on, I'm just going to quickly get started. I know we've run over time. I'll end the stream soon. Yeah, and then he goes back with Chakotay to find Seven of Nine's chip to then send a message back in time to try to change the past. That was a good episode with Harry Kim in it. Well, with Harry Kim as the main character. But yeah, it's just that. It's just... Oh, that's the wrong Trainz. Why did it start that? I thought I'd started the other one. Yeah. I want to say something else. Oh, one more thing about Voyager. So often, they find a new piece of technology that could get them home. They try it once, something goes wrong, and then they never try it again. Yeah? It's like they don't try to continue to refine these pieces of technology or try to experiment with them or try to improve upon them. They just forget them. Which again is the reset button thing, where, oh yeah, they have this piece of technology that can make them go much, much, much faster. Potentially, of course, it nearly destroys the warp core the first time they try to use it, so they can't use it, and it doesn't work properly. And if in the next episode they had it so that, they were trying to work, and it's like, oh, and the tachyon enhanced impulse manifolds, they're like B'Elanna's working on them, and so it's like oh, Captain, we've improved we think we've improved the tachyon enhanced impulse manifolds to maybe I don't know, do something to stabilize the warp bubble, and we could give it another try. Yeah, that just doesn't happen. Anyway, but there are some really good episodes of Voyager as well. And overall, I do like Voyager. It's a fun series to watch. It's just that it has its problems. Captain Janeway had multiple personality disorder. Yeah. Voyager got repetitive. MPD. Last time I checked, these were MPDs. Oh, right, the bus. Mini pointed darts. Remember Ziggy? Nice bushes. I'll quickly see if everything's okay, because I think I may... yeah, let's just see. I need to get a thumbnail as well. Revert. I always revert. Better to have to redo a bit of work rather than for the root to become corrupt. So when it asks to revert, I always revert. 7 did become the most developed and interesting character. Yes. Which class of starship do y'all prefer? Intrepid class or Nova class? Notable Nova class ships include the USS Nova and the USS Capital Duck. Yeah, those are the Capital Duck is from also the Equinox. You don't have the Equinox in there. Why don't you have the USS Equinox? The USS Equinox was the first appearance of the Nova class ship in Voyager. Yeah, but the Capital Duck is the ship name that the players chose in my Star Trek game for their own ship. And USS Packfield. The 37s. Oh, right, the episode, yeah. Wasn't it a rusty old pickup truck? Yeah, the 37s, which was the ones where Amelia Earhart and all those guys were abducted, where they found them. And that was a fun episode. I really did like that episode. I don't know what sort of angle we should get for the thumbnail. I mean, that could work. I'll take a screenshot like that. Although I would like something with a bit of a higher quality texture in front. Oh, maybe that could look good. Yeah, something like that. Okay. I prefer the Enterprise. NCC 1701. No bloody... You forgot the bloody. No bloody A, B, C, or D. Yeah. That quote is from Relics, from the episode Relics of TNG, where they find Scotty in a crashed ship in the transporter buffer on the outer. Although that's a thing again that they forget about, like when they have to. Anyway, I don't want to get into that. But anyway, that was such a nice episode. It was so great seeing Scotty on the Enterprise D and all of that. That was a nice episode. And when he wants to make the Enterprise bridge on the holodeck, and he says the Enterprise bridge, and then the computer says specify registry, and then he says 1701, no bloody A, B, C, or D, or something like that. And then where Picard joins him on the holodeck, and he reminisces, and Scotty reminisces about it, and says back then you could feel the warp speed you were going at by how the deck plates vibrated, and then Picard reminisces about his time on the Stargazer and all that. That was such a good episode. Harry Kim was the sidekick for Tom Paris. Yes. Although some of the Voyager episodes that I really enjoyed were the ones with Captain Proton. Those were really nice. That one with 7 of 9 on the holodeck with Tom, where it's like that robot, and then Tom says to her that, okay, she needs to keep the robot busy while he, as Captain Proton, saves the day. And then she just walks up to that like 50s style lumbering robot and just rips out the cables and says, resistance is futile. That was so fun. Car Smashed was a reference to the Quantum Leap intro, and the 1971 also appeared where it went through the years. Oh, I see. Right. The flock of birds flying away against the dawn dusk, galloping horses silhouette, yes. Oh, I remember this now, I think. The Harry Kim thing? Haha. 37's episode of Voyager. Alright. That's why Voyager got repetitive. Discover something new, try it, give up, rinse, repeat. I think that Voyager could have been so much more if they had made it a more serialized show. Like they did with Star Trek Enterprise, the Xindi arc. Because that is what Voyager could have been. Because the Enterprise there... Also, just one quick note. In the first episode, or the first few episodes of Voyager, they say, okay, we have to use our photon torpedoes very sparingly because we can't get more. This is a limited resource, and we need to keep track of each and every one of them because we'll run out. And then they proceed to use photon torpedoes in basically every fight as soon as phasers don't do anything. Without paying much attention to it. Now, of course, they could have found some sort of way of manufacturing them, but that was never explored. Shadice, what's your favorite Voyager character? My favorite Voyager character, 7 Yeah. With a close second of the Doctor. Because the Doctor is an interesting character, because he also has character development and a character arc. And yeah, 7 And the way those two work together as well, I really liked. Shadice, alright, USS Equinox, yeah, that too. Forgot about it. I knew there were more. Also, there is a Nova-class ship at the Battle of... what's it called? In Star Trek Enterprise, where they go to the Enterprise J, where Daniels brings Archer to the Enterprise J. The Battle of... something 5. Hold on. Star Trek Enterprise J. Dun, 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 dun. Battle of Procyon 5, there we go. At the Battle of Procyon 5, when they're aboard the Enterprise J and looking out the window, the battle with the sphere builders, there you can actually see a little Nova-class ship flying around, also in the fight, which is interesting, because we never know what class that was. What ship that was, sorry. We know the class. Probably a refit at the point. Shadice, for the thumbnail, I would choose something with a lot of sunshine on it, preferably without a lot of shadows. Maybe, but the shadows give it a bit more dimension, I feel. Oh well. Oh yeah, the USS Jenolan, wasn't it? With the Relics episode, Sydney class? I think so, yeah. Where it crashed into the... What was it? Dyson Sphere? Yes. Yeah, it was Sydney class. Voyager had a lot of unexplored potential. Yes. Also, Gaylor or Kelvin class? I would say Gaylor. Because the Kelvin is basically a Gaylor with that little thing strapped on the back. I like them both, but I think Gaylor class. Oh right, the Doctor. The EMH. Please state the nature of the medical emergency. I really liked the episode with the Prometheus, with the other EMH. Yes, that was fun. Where the EMH goes through the wormhole onto the Prometheus, and we get a little bit of a look at the Starfleet and the Federation and the Romulans in that. We get to see the Defiant class again. We get to see the Akira class and the Daradexes and that, and of course the Prometheus class. And with the EMH too, that was such a fun episode as well. I think it was Ship in a Bottle. I think it was Ship in a Bottle, that episode called. Time in a Bottle, or I think Ship in a Bottle. The Doctor also developed into one of the most human characters. Interesting how some of the most interesting characters are non-humans that develop into the most human characters. Yeah, it's the same thing with Data on TNG. With him, like with Measure of a Man, where it's like... That's also a great episode. Where that guy wants to take Data apart, and then they discuss, okay, well, has he got any rights? Does he not have rights? And then that brilliant thing with Picard, where he's originally kind of on the side of the Federation, of Starfleet here, of the guy who wants to take him apart, because it's like, well, it could just be so much, it's a greater good, but then, of course, Guinan steps in and says, and brings up the thing about slavery, that if you've got so many of him, of Data, then you've got an army of disposable people, and that would be slavery, and that they'd have to draw that line to define that, and then you get the same thing with the Doctor, with the EMH, with the holonovels, where some guy on Earth or wherever publishes his holonovels without consent because he thinks, well, he's a hologram, he doesn't have rights, and then all of that, and that was really interesting as well. Shadows, yeah, true. Shadows are good, but the lighting is much plainer with shadows. Well, I don't know. It would have been a different story if it had ambient occlusion. Yeah, but I don't have that on. But, well. Yeah, I just imagine an entire series set on the Prometheus. Ship in a bottle. Yeah, an entire series on the Prometheus would be fun, but... I mean, yeah, using the saucer separation thing with the Enterprise D, which incidentally, the original Enterprise in the drawings also has. Okay, one quick thing. The original Enterprise, Kirk's Enterprise, actually had the ability to separate the saucer and then for the saucer to do an emergency landing on a planet. If you ever... Hold on. Enterprise TOS. If you look at the Enterprise's saucer section from underneath, then you'll be able to see that there are actually... Hold on, why is that so small? That there are actually landing legs that could extend. Hold on. Where is it? I had a good picture earlier. In some renditions, you can't see it. Oh, this one, for example. There we go, I'll post a picture. You can see those darker pieces on the saucer. Those are actually landing legs that could extend. And it's separated at the neck, so at the bottom, so it could land. But yeah. Anyway, I don't want to get too carried away with this. Yes, I remember that. Pretty sure it was that, yeah. Data, yeah. Wait, Trainz has ambient occlusion? I think so, in the post-processing stuff. Could the Nebula class do it? Separate saucer? I don't know. Maybe. I like to think it can. If they've got the technology, why not implement it in that one too? It was a tail dragger. 2 landing pads in front and the top piece of the dorsal as the tail gear. Yeah, the neck of it. Yes. But that was another thing that was never explored really. But well, yeah, just imagine an entire series. Ship in a bottle, yes, remember that. I remember that name. Pretty sure it was that, yeah. Oh, the Sherlock Holmes ones were also nice with Data. Yes, they actually wanted to carry that arc with Data and Sherlock Holmes on, but then they got sued because they didn't have the rights, because they didn't check. They thought Sherlock Holmes is such an old franchise, I guess, such an old character that's so used so much that they thought they could just use it. But no, they couldn't, and they didn't have the money to get the license, so they had to get rid of the Sherlock Holmes thing with Data, and which I really, really liked because of the mystery thing and all of that, with what is it to solve a mystery, whereas to know the answer. Anyway, and then they kind of replaced it with, well, some of the other characters. You've got a message above. Wait, Trainz is ammunition. Did I? Shadows, yeah, shadows are good, but lighting would be much plainer with shadows. No, I read that. They didn't. Yeah, sued? No, I didn't know that either. They didn't have the SFX, the budget. SFX? Sound effects? Or... Oh, special effects, yeah, special effects, of course. Budget back in the day, and made sure they did do it in TNG to show it off. Yes. Although I think that a series centered on the Prometheus, whose that main thing is that it can separate into 3 different parts that are each capable of warp travel, could be very, very good. Because then you could have essentially 3 captains, and you could maybe have things where, like, you've got the main captain, and you've got the other 2 captains for the other 2 ships. And then maybe at some point, one of the other captains gains more experience and then kind of takes over as main captain or things like that. And You could tell a lot of interesting stories with that. Although I think that realistically a lot of it would be combat-based, because that is the multi-vector assault mode after all. But it could be used for a lot of other stuff as well. Always check your paperwork, yeah. It's fine, Jedi's, don't worry. You had forgotten the Sherlock message before. Oh, right. How about a series about the Constitution's saucer section, where they only fly and land around one planet? That'd be interesting. But the thing is, with the original Constitution, it was never meant to be reattachable. It was just like a lifeboat thing, almost. It would you would have to undergo some serious repair work to reattach it. Captain, first officer, second officer. True. It was a lifeboat and could only land once. Yeah, true. I mean, the thing about landing only once is also true with the D's saucer section, as seen in Generations, for example. Yeah, Shadace, that's why the series would only focus around the saucer. Although that the Enterprise in Generations was destroyed by a Brel-class bird of prey, the flagship of the Federation. Yeah. I mean, really, yes, they knew how to get through the shields, but come on. Like, the Enterprise so often gets hit by all sorts of stuff. It's like the shields are down, or they've penetrated our shields, or that sort of stuff. Like, it's... Anyway. They did not have capability to take off from planet surface. In the first episode, it would get separated, and that's it. Maybe if they strapped boosters onto it? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it could maybe be interesting as sort of a base of operations on a planet, and that, like, the series is about... Maybe it's a planet in a nebula that's blocking subspace signals. So they have to survive there, and kind of find different technologies or experiment with stuff they have on board, and kind of have it be more like... more like on board of a space station, so that the saucer section is like the base of operations, not so much as a starship. Maybe, yeah, that sounds interesting. Star Trek, Gillian's Planet. Yeah, true. XD. Well, XD to you too. Well, that was a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Both the building and the Star Trek talk. So yes. In conclusion, the industrial area is coming along, and I like Star Trek, and you like Star Trek, and I would like to play as a player in my game, but I don't have anyone to GM it then. Right. Never actually saw his island myself. Oh well, I did. Enjoyed, yes. So that's it. It's been really nice having you here. And, well, that's it then. So thank you all very much for watching. This stream will be archived on YouTube. Kangofango streams on Sundays, building stuff in Trainz and OMSI 2 and driving stuff. And if you're playing Trainz, have a look on the DLS for Central Europe, as well as Cornish Railways, both great maps. And also watch Star Trek if you're at all into sci-fi. I would recommend the original series or TNG for starters. Right. Although the motion pictures are also good. Although maybe skip the first one because that is a bit slow in modern perspective. Although I do very much like it as well. Anyway. I hope you'll be able to... Alright, no GM, that's unfortunate. I mean, I know that you know a bit about Star Trek. I think you would know enough to GM it, Kangofango. The mere fact that you've been able to keep up with this conversation we've been having means that you know enough about Star Trek to probably be able to GM it. And you could just say out of character, I don't know this, what is this thing? And then we could just say, I could just help you out with that if you would like to. Anyway. I hope you'll be able to find one soon. Oh well, thanks for the shout out and stream. Keep up? Haha. Why? You were able to keep up. I forgot about Harry Kim altogether. Well, Harry Kim is quite a forgettable character. So, yeah. Anyway, oh well, maybe. Good. But it would throw people out of the game. No, that would be good. That would be okay. It would be okay. There's so much stuff. No, don't worry about that. If you were willing to GM a Star Trek game, maybe even just as a one-shot, I would be so on board with that. Bye, Z's. See you tomorrow. Yes, see you all tomorrow. Bye. Bye, people. People. Yes, bye. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Ha ha ha. Ah, yes, the Spanish Inquisition. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially if they break out into song right afterwards. Bye. Haha. One shot. And on board. XD, yes. Bye. Bye, bye.